Our next guest, his company turns gold in 2 years. Independent investment house Unicapital Group looks back at 48 years of deals, helping raise over 230 billion pesos worth of equity and debt, something that they say is rare for a non-bank-backed investment house and financing company. Joining us now to look back and, more importantly, look forward at the state of Philippine capital and debt markets, Jaime Martirez, Group President and CEO of the Unicapital Group of Companies. Jimmy, welcome to Market Edge and happy 48th anniversary.
Thank you so much, Mini. Thank you for having me here.
All right. So you started this company fresh out of college, I heard, with family, of course.
Yes, well, that's true. I graduated in 1975 and helped put up this fledgling company called at that time Majalco Finance and Investments Inc., which was the acronym of my family, Martirez, and my mother, Halandoni. That was then capitalized for only 1 million pesos that time. So it was a 5-man operation that started in 1976. I did train though for more than a year with a company that was then called Commercial Credit Corporation. That was an investment house with a subsidiary which was more into, again, retail financing. They were doing a lot of mostly the travel now, pay later plans that time, no? Okay, so we started off then doing mostly factoring of post-dated checks of corporate clients, mostly in the automotive industry. And we were doing pretty well. But what was a bit concerning then, after 2-3 years of having done this, we were growing. I was pretty happy with the performance then of our finance company. But then I was surprised to see many finance companies that were overtaking us, those that were, in fact, that started many years later, 2-3 years down the road. So
what was happening?
I was asking my people, like, I think, are we doing badly or are they just doing much better than us? I cannot seem to fathom what was that. No? What was important is that I have always espoused growth, again, steady growth, and risk management. That was always what I had espoused to our people in the organization. We had and then a president. I was the vice president then, providing the support to that company. Now, there was a crisis that came somewhere in late 70s to the early 80s. That was a financial crisis that practically closed a lot of financial institutions, mostly finance companies, even banks were very much affected by that. But as a result of strong risk management of our company at that time, we were able to pivot, to another market. And I think that was one of the strengths that we had. Mimi, in a way, it was probably also divine providence. We were there at the right time, at the right place. We were able now to look at a market that was, at that time, never even thought of to be tapped by finance companies. These were the multinational pharmaceutical companies. Okay, so let me explain a little bit about that. Pharmaceutical companies at that time were required to secure a certificate of authority issued by the Bangko Sentral, or the Central Bank of the Philippines at that time. And the ones that would be allowed to lend to them, at that time, there were no offshore banks, no OBUs. So it was mostly the local banks that were funding them. And they were given a certificate of authority to borrow only up to a certain limit. I checked on that, and lo and behold, I was able to find out from the BSP at that time that if you're a finance company, you are not you're exempted, okay, from signing on that certificate of authority, which would be part of their borrowing limits. Okay.
So the extra that they needed, they could borrow from you.
That became now already. That was where I pivoted. I went to that space where I went for quality, sacrificing now on the yield, being able now to provide funding to quality clients. That, in fact, became the blessing. We grew from there. And we became now the lender of choice of all of these top multinational companies, mostly in pharmaceuticals. And that was, it cascaded now, to a lot of other multinational companies outside of pharmaceuticals that went to us and wanted us now to be the lender of choice. And so eventually, Majalco grew from there and beyond my imagination.
And now, of course, Unicapital, sir, is known not just for the financing side of the business, but for the brokerage house investment banking, which was another interesting pivot you did at another interesting time, the 1997 Asia financial crisis.
Okay, I'll tell you a little bit more about that. When we started expanding now the finance company operations, we started exceeding the charter, the activities we were doing as a finance company, wherein we needed now to upgrade the license to be able to undertake the activities we were doing, which was more on investment banking. A lot of these pharmaceutical companies wanted now to do more fundraising. I can't do that for them. I am not an underwriter, so I had now to, again, talk to several possible investors, and they were very interested to be a part of this, and that's how Unicapital Inc., the investment house, was born in 1994.
And when you look back at the 48 years, Jimmy, what were some of the big milestones that will stand out for you always?
Okay.
That's 230 billion pesos worth of capital raised for big companies.
Yes.
Could you give us a few big ones? Or at least the most memorable ones?
One, I think, IPO that we did that really stood out in the market was the IPO that we did for Double Dragon of Injapsia.
That was fairly recent.
That was in 2014.
2014, yeah.
When we took them public.
Okay.
We were the issue manager and the lead underwriter that time, and together with BDO Capital. Now, they were then a small player. We listed them in the SME board. But look, where are they now at this time?
And they're listing at one of their units is listing at the NASDAQ.
That's correct. That's correct.
Oh.
Now, in terms of market cap, if you were to look at the total market cap of the group as a whole, you're talking of about more than $1 trillion right now.
For Double Dragon.
Market cap for the whole Double Dragon conglomerate.
All right. So aside from Double Dragon, any other deal that stands out for you?
On the debt side, we have been also focused on fundraising for a number of banks. We did the LTNCDs of East West Bank. I think that would be a total of about 25 billion in total LTNCDs that we did for them. We also did their IPO. I'm not sure exactly when we did the IPO. We were the issue managers then. We also did the IPO for another bank called Philippine Business Bank.
Oh, Mr. Yao.
Yes,
PBB.
that's correct. That's right.
All right.
We were also the issue managers. We've done follow-on offerings for them as well. So that has been our space, Mimi. And we are, maybe if you are probably not aware of it, but we are an independent diversified financial services provider.
So, Jimmy, I imagine in the last 48 years, you've had to learn interesting lessons, difficult lessons.
Oh, yes.
You've gone through crisis, so many crises in and out, and here you
Yes.
are. If there was one lesson that you'd like to share to our viewers who are watching us now, maybe they're long-time investors, maybe they're newbies who are looking to make a quick buck,
Yeah,
or maybe
yeah.
just someone who's interested to try it out.
Yeah.
What's the lesson? What is the near golden lesson that you can impart to our viewers about investing, whether it's capital markets or debt markets, about growing a business long term?
Well, for an investor, make sure that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. And just don't listen on hearsay. Be a fundamentalist. Because again, the stock market, as some people would put it, is like gambling. I always try to correct that impression, Mimi. It's not gambling.
What is it?
Some people were saying, oh, you put your money there and you can make bucks, you can make good money overnight. Especially if they say, well, this one is supposed to do this and supposed to do that. They're going to do, you're listening to a lot of sometimes gossip. You don't base your investments on fundamentals. Always go to fundamentals. I'm a fundamentalist. Some analysts do it, they're technical. They base it on market movements and all that. But I'm more on the fundamentals. If a company has got a good business model, it has sustainable, earnings, and at the same time, we could and good management, I think that company will just go up, depending again on, especially with the market right now, no? And we're seeing traction in our market.
So you don't buy the market, you don't buy a stock. It sounds like you're buying a company.
I'm sorry?
It seems to me like when you describe how you choose where you invest, you choose the company.
Of course.
Fundamentals of the company.
Fundamentals would always have to play a big picture in that. Yeah.
All right.
Always.
Next, final question before we let you go. So what is the next pivot? So you've done 48 years. You've evolved from financing company, investment banking, brokerage. What's next?
Well, we continue to improve our craft. We are always looking for opportunities.
Where is the next opportunity?
I see a lot of opportunities right now for instance, in the digital space.
Okay.
There's a lot of things happening there. Okay? I still see banks, especially the mid-sized banks, looking right now to still do more fundraising to increase their capital for more lending. We see a lot of opportunities now in the SME sector. As we all know, the SME sector represents easily 70%.
But some of them think, it's so hard to be a listed company. There are so many requirements. You see the big companies delisted.
This is where we are now playing a role with the PSE. They have been asking us likewise for our inputs, like what would it take to be able now to encourage more SMEs to list in the market. And so we're giving our inputs, and they have been listening. And hopefully, we should see more of these companies, these emerging growth sectors, focus on the SME sector. That would be, hopefully, be listing next year. We have a couple of them in our pipeline.
Wow, for next year?
Oh, yes. So we have been seeing traction already happening in the market now. And given our fundamentals, we should be seeing a better market next year.
All right. So how many SMEs are you helping go public next year on the record?
Very high. Well, some are SMEs, some are not. But
so how many? How many?
At least there are about 3 or 4 that I'm looking at right now.
All right.
For that have been pushed back this year and looking for next year to list.
3 or 4 that you're working on.
Oh, yes,
working with.
yes.
All right. Exciting 2025 ahead. Jimmy,
I'm looking
thank you
at
so
that.
much for joining us. Congratulations, 48 years. We'll see you at the 49th and 50th year, all right?
And hope to see you again on our 50th year.
Of course.
Jimmy?
Thank you very much, Jimmy, again for the time and for the insights.